I refer to budget paper number 2, page 80, line item titled Assistance and Support, Total Cost of Service. And I'd like to ask about the assistance and support provided by the Public Sector Commission, specifically advice provided by the Commission on who can be employed as a permanent public servant. Noting the announcement that temporary visa holders will be eligible for permanent public service positions, can the Minister explain why someone who doesn't have permission to be in Australia permanently can accept a permanent role?
Minister.
I'll ask the Commissioner to respond to that, please.
Ms O'Neill.
The new Commissioner's instructions that take effect on 1 July, which are in relation to modernising recruitment, will allow temporary visa holders who have a right to work in Australia to be able to be appointed to permanent positions. Previously, employees with temporary work rights were only able to be appointed on a fixed-term basis, fixed to their visa period, with confirmation of further work rights required before their contract could be renewed. The new instructions that I have provided for the 1st of July remove the restriction and put in place that was put in place previously, and it was put in place, as a mitigation to ensure that our people were complying with the Migration Act of 1958, the Commonwealth legislation. So there are other risk mitigations that can be used while at the same time providing secure employment for employees with temporary work rights. And that includes using employment contracts. This is what we'll do, using employment contracts requiring visa holders to comply with Australian employment and migration laws, and also reviewing the visa status of temporary visa holders regularly. And so that's part of the process that we will undertake. We've issued guidance to help agencies to ensure that they are appropriately complying with those new instructions when they come in on the 1st of July 2026. Temporary visa holders, they do assist in the public sector in often occupying hard-to-fill jobs, and so we've welcomed them into roles such as medical officers, nurses, education assistants, cleaners, gardeners, hospital orderlies, for example. And so that change will come in effect on 1 July 2026 and will ensure that public sector employees understand their responsibilities in this regard so that they continue to comply with all necessary legislation.
Member.
I'm not sure if it answered why that we need to give them the if they're only here on that set period, why we're giving them a permanent position when they know they're only being given a visa for that set period. Like it's fixed term, I believe federally it's the same. Unless it's a real crucial role, there's some allowances made, but to give someone who we know has got a set time frame a position that says permanent, they're not here permanent, how that can be. I don't think you answered why that is.
Ms O'Neill. Sorry.
The advice we were provided with from a wide range of people is that those particular visa holders were struggling with things like getting loans or other financial arrangements, securing rentals, etc., not being able to demonstrate permanent employment. And I was persuaded of the view that we could provide permanent opportunities through the normal process, and that should someone's visa situation change, that we had sufficient risk mitigation in place to ensure that we would continue to comply with the legislation. So there was no further risk in providing those people, if they win jobs in the normal way, a permanent opportunity, given we can draw to conclusion immediately their employment if their visa situation changes and they no longer can comply. So it made no substantive difference in terms of us complying, or the public sector employees complying with the legislation.
Now, does it apply to all public sector roles, including those that deal with sensitive data, the permanency roles?
Commissioner.
There is no discrimination on the kinds of roles. We've not put in place a requirement of this kind of role versus that kind of role.
Okay, and Was the federal government consulted in relation to immigration policy, specifically being that they're temporary visa holders, whether they'd be able to argue unfair dismissal and things like that if their visa wasn't renewed or something? Has there been consultation in regards to that?
Commissioner.
No, we didn't consult with the federal government. There isn't a need to, because we have the authority over our own recruitment practices. The requirement is to comply with the Migration Act 1958, the Commonwealth legislation. The instructions that I've put in place enable us to comply with that. We did seek advice from the State Solicitor's Office to ensure that we were able to continue to comply with all the necessary legislation.
Right, and is there some sort of guarantee that West Australian citizens and permanent residents will get prioritised over temporary visa holders?
Commissioner.
No, there's no priority given to one group over another, so they are able to apply for jobs in the normal way, and should they win and get permanence, that would have the same status as other people.
Okay, so you said on roles that you couldn't recruit for, and so if there are people that are permanent residents or citizens, that they're not getting the job, it doesn't seem to align. So if we've got the people, you would think they'd be prioritised over people that are only here on a temporary visa, because if there's people they can fill that role, you said it's mainly due to not being able to fill the roles.
Ms O'Neill.
Recruitment, for anyone applying for a job in the public sector, we have requirements, suitability requirements, based on merit, equity, probity, which are outlined in my Commissioner's instructions. And so people on visas will be able to apply, they will be able to be assessed. They're not ring-fenced to only apply for certain jobs. The point I was making earlier is that they have tended to occupy hard-to-fill jobs, but we haven't said they're the only jobs that they can apply for.